Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 27 of Over the Head podcast. We are just coming off a week 8 in Salt Lake City. The Archers dropped
Gross.
2.
Salt Lake City.
Scott's team, and the glare was real there. I went to the game. I got there Saturday, and man, the sun was something else for the fans. But what a weekend of lacrosse, and that place was packed. And it seems like Utah is a place where lacrosse is growing, and it's awesome to see the pro sport growing out here, and the stands packed. So it was a great weekend.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your intro.
It's all good, man.
People call it Hot Atlanta, like Salt Lake City is just so corny to me. I just don't like it.
That's what the announcers were saying. So I was just,
It is clearly a great lacrosse town though, because the crowd. So when I was watching the games, I love when the home crowd cheers for the home team, and we've talked about this a little bit on here, but they might be the best at that, which is crazy. Like, who would have guessed?
Yeah.
I think the cities, and now this is actually, and I don't know if this is intentional, but the stretch of Salt Lake, Denver, Boston are the 3 cities that I think are the best right now. Home field advantage with the fans. Like, the Boston Cannons fans have been good forever. And it's one of the few cities, like maybe the only city, Hartsey, in the U.S. where, like, if I'm talking to some random person through work and I'm like, and they're in Boston, like, I played for the Boston Cannons, like, they're going to know exactly, like, the Boston, like, it's a brand there that people are familiar with.
Yeah.
So, like, the casuals that are just going to go to Harvard to watch the game. Is it at Harvard again this year?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Like, they're going to cheer for the Cannons. Like, they're going to show up and have a Cannon shirt or a Cannons hat. Like, and clearly Salt Lake City, I don't know if it's the timing of home cities and the Archers kind of going back to back and being such an exciting team, or the branding, something really worked there, because every single person in that crowd was wearing orange. And I expect the same from Denver, right? Like, the Outlaws brand in Denver is very strong. So you would think, like, that stadium's going to be full of people that are supporting the Outlaws. Anywhere else that you can remember that's jumped out? Like, it's interesting because, like, the big lacrosse places are the ones that I think are struggling the most. Like, Albany is not an Atlas location. I'd say go ahead.
It's just like, I think places that don't get their fill of lacrosse, like, but to your point, Boston's an anomaly, and like Denver and Utah, obviously out west, it's not a traditional hotbed, but it is growing. Like, Denver's been, growing at such a rapid rate for so long with, obviously Coach Tierney out there winning a national championship and then bringing a Division I program there. But, like, yeah, it's interesting to see, like, the different cities you go to. But I think here, just they're so hungry for it, right? You got
Well, it's Salt Lake City, so of course
Salt Lake City. But, like, you got Will and Adam, like, they're running a huge program here. The sport's growing at a rapid rate, and I think the excitement's real here. But yeah, other places stick out, like, just like my hometown, Baltimore, like, love seeing big crowds there. But I think you're right. Like, these traditional hotbeds, like, I don't know if they get, like, too much lacrosse, and then they're just kind of like,
Well, I don't know. It's like you still sometimes get decent crowds. Like, there's been decent crowds in Albany. This year wasn't great in Baltimore, but there's been great crowds there in the past. But in no way, shape, or form does it feel like it's a Whip Snakes. Was it a Whip Snakes crowd at Hopkins?
No.
Like, and maybe that's your point to, like, there's so much across that, like, maybe the fans there do have more, like, player allegiances, or, they're fans of certain colleges. And I mean, I guess, but you'd think Maryland, all the, whatever. It's interesting how that's going. And if you look at the NLL and the success they have in some select markets, Buffalo, Saskatchewan, Denver, it'll be interesting to me to watch as the PLL evolves. Like, is the strategy to stick with these places where it's like, hey, there's tons of lacrosse here? Like, do you keep playing in Albany? Do you keep playing in or do you lean into these markets that look like they'll like, if you have to play there a bunch of times a summer, if they're doing a normal schedule, do you lean into the markets that are rallying around their specific teams? Like, the Chaos, right, have that little fan section that used to be there for the Hounds that have now become the Chaos one. It's like 12 dudes. Like, it's not the same thing as, like, and they're great, and it's fun to have them because they heckle and, like, they do their thing. But, like, that's not the same as what we just saw in Utah, where it's every fucking person. The stadium is full. I don't know how many it was, but it looked like 10,000 people, maybe 8. I don't know.
Yep.
and every person in there, if they were wearing a jersey, it was an Archers jersey. If not, they were in orange, or if they were in regular non-PLL clothes, they were standing and cheering when the Archers scored. So
Yep.
I really think that enhances the viewing. So I'm feeling a little spicy. I'm a little sleep deprived. You are maybe too. Your heart's is sitting in what looks like a insane asylum, just like blank walls. He's sitting on, I think, on a floor using a trash can. Like we both. So that could make for a great episode or a terrible episode. But obviously, I come in hot. I'm just immediately criticizing Salt Lake City. The Archers are dead. The first little bit of this funeral or of this episode is going to be a funeral for the Archers season, and there's a lot of great champions in that locker room.
Are they mathematically out of it? Like
they're not
100%?
they're not mathematically out of it, but they are in fact dead.
Yeah.
I think the Redwoods would have to lose out, and the Archers would have to win convincingly. I think is kind of the situation, because right now the Redwoods are 3-5, the Archers are 3-6, so they're the same in the win column. So the Archers are going to have a bye. I think their bye is this weekend. So if the Redwoods, can win one, like the Redwoods control their own destiny basically, because they still have one more game, and then the score differential, they also have a 6-goal buffer. So the Redwoods basically have 2 games left. The Archers have 1 game left, right? And if the Redwoods win 1 of 2, then the Archers would have to win their last game by 8 goals to make the playoffs. Now, if the Redwoods go 0-2, then the Archers just have to win. So that isn't, and the Redwoods are very capable of going 0-2, but that's a storyline to watch. But it's less about that. Look, Tom's hurt. You see him on crutches. Grant comes out of that game. It was like they put up a good fight. I mean, Brett Dobson tried to put the team on his back there against the Outlaws, and I'm just jumping right into that game. I thought it maybe the most interesting, the last one of the weekend. It just felt like the Archers gave it their last gasp, best effort. Like Sam King played really well. You get a 2 from Woodward. You get Dobson playing hard and very good, and getting into some chippy moments. It just felt like they put it all out there, which is a credit to their coaches and kind of their pedigree, but they just don't have enough offensively. They didn't have enough this season with Tom and Grant. And then you take those 2 out, and ultimately they just couldn't. I mean, of course they're playing maybe the best team in the league in that game, but still they just could not find it. They are dead last in the league in scoring, which is wild thinking about what that offense has been for 2 straight years.
They're obviously, I think all focus is on next year. I mean, obviously your 2 star players got hurt. Tom, obviously on crutches. I don't know the extent of that injury, but that didn't look good. I hope he's good. That doesn't require surgery. And I don't know what happened to Grant Ament. Do you know what happened to him?
No.
I did miss that. But your 2 star players on offense are hurt. Trey Leclerc, 0 goals. I think in that Redwoods game, it's just they're a bit out of sorts, which is kind of sucks because their defense is good, right? Their defense has, I think, been one of the best units in the league. The Mason Woodward kid, man, watching a game on the sideline for the first time this year, being removed from the PLO is the first live game I've been to being a fan. But watching Mason Woodward, that 2-pointer he hit, and then Pisano comes back, he hits his 2-pointer, watching those 2 battle, they're emerging as 2 of the best LSMs in the league, I think, at this point, 2 young talents. But yeah, man, it was frustrating to see that offense struggle this year the way that they have. Tom obviously probably one of his worst years he's ever had. And hopefully they bounce back, right? Hopefully they come back, bounce back, because they are an exciting team to watch.
Yeah, but they're not going to if they don't change some shit like that.
Yeah.
So what
do you think they need to change?
They need to go young. If again, and I just preface it. Great champ. Let's take nothing away from any of these players before I start criticizing all of them. They won back to back. Tom is an all-time great, maybe the all-time great at his position. So it's not about that. But with where you're sitting right now, the stat they kept talking about all weekend was that 40. The broadcasters was at 40 or 45% or something like that of the points scored in the PLL this season have been scored by first or second year players. It is a young man's game, and all sports are a young man's game. Sports that aren't full-time profession, even more of a young man's game. There is just a sweet spot of your mid-20s where you're just built for this. You can live off of $100K a year, no problem. You like you're still in really great shape. I mean, again, if you don't get into the training, then you're not going to last more than a year or two. But like if you do kind of even some of the bare minimum until you're 26, 27, like your body can still kind of eat whatever it wants, show up and perform. Like that age group of players is dominating the league. The Archers, I think, did a really good job. They draft Lavelle, they draft Woodward, like they turned over the defense, Dobson and Cage, and that defense is young. Now you still have an older guy in Hasek. Can older guys do it? Of course, but it's only the guys that are like full-time lacrosse that are, that are gym freaks, that have trainers that do all of the things. So you've got a couple of those guys in there on their defense, but their entire D-Midi crew is in that first year, second year type of situation. Like their LSM play, like all of it on that side of the ball is young. On the offense, and I don't know that you can really blame Bates for this, but like he turned over the offense from the original Archers crew and Will and Marcus, and he went young, and it was give the keys to O'Keefe and LeClaire and Ament and Fields, and like then you kind of still had Ambler and Tom as like your pseudo veterans. Well, now they're old, just like we were when we couldn't win, before they. And he didn't, look at who is the best player on their offense this year, Sam King, right?
Yeah.
Like you got him in the so. To me, and again, I don't know that I can blame him because when you go back to back, you have to keep running it back with that crew until you don't win, right? Like, I don't know that, like, I can't look back and say, well, he made mistakes here. I mean, he did add a young piece, but I think this offseason, like, again, hard decisions, you've got to inject some youthful energy and talent into that offense because, yeah, it wasn't, I mean, you could chop it up to a bad season, but like, it was more than that. They're the worst offense in the league with all the same guys. And I don't know if Mac O'Keefe is. I don't know. If he is Ryan Ambler still going? Is Tom still going? Can he continue to play in both leagues? I mean, how many? It's been what three to either two of his last three or three of his last four. He's ended the season injured. And Grant has been hurt a lot over the course of his career. So I think they got to go heavy offense in the draft, free agency, and get young and create some competition for some of those veteran players. Probably not Tom and probably not Fields, but anybody else in that offense. I think you're going into training camp next year needing to earn your spot.
Yeah, I think, the face-off department for the Archers hasn't been great this year either. Obviously, Sisselberger looked like he was hurt. I think Jake Nasso was their face-off guy this weekend, but he didn't win many face-offs at the stripe. But yeah, man, another thing is like the injuries. Like Grant Ament has been seemed to be injured every year, whether it's the beginning of the year. He's always like, and that kid, from what I assume, it looks like he takes care of his body, works out hard, does what he has to do. But like, yeah, man, that's concerning him being injured because they need those guys in the offense, obviously, right? Tom has been battling some injuries every year, and when those two go down, that's not good. And I hope they're okay, and I hope they bounce back. But that's the youth, father time comes for us all, and yeah, man, maybe you're right on that point. They might have to go young next year in the draft and maybe move some guys. So we'll see.
It's tough, but when you finish, I mean, again, maybe they salvage it and the Redwoods go 0-2 and the Archers, man, like it's week to week league. You never know. I mean, even if the Redwoods lose this weekend and you're the Archers, you're going into Boston thinking we got to win one game, we got to win it by 7 goals. Like it's like if you're in that locker room, you're gonna find a way to story tell that you're still in it. But if the season ends the way it's been, yeah, it's going to be big changes, I would assume. And again, they've got a championship level defense. They still probably have some pieces, I think, offensively, but they've drafted very heavily defense. And I mean, I was watching that Lavelle kid play. He's awesome.
He's an animal.
He's
kind of like he reminds me of like Tucker Durkin a little bit.
Yeah, he's big, strong, just like plays like a linebacker the way he shuffles. So Bates has been really good at drafting. But he hasn't had to draft offense really. I mean, he traded for O'Keefe. He drafted Grant, obviously, but I think it was like 2 years in a row we had the first overall pick. It was Pat Spencer, so obviously we never saw him play. And then it was Grant and Ament. And it was like they were almost a little bit, or maybe we had the second pick that year and Sowers went first or something. I don't remember, but it was something like that where it was very obvious picks. It'll be interesting to see if we can talk about draft picks. Like you get in a situation where maybe they're going to end up having the first pick again. But you get in a situation where you're 3 or 4, that's where like those picks just become really
Are
important.
they
Like,
standings?
you
Do they
think
get? Are
Brian
they?
Holman wishes he picked Owen Hiltz if he has to, if you give him true serum,
Yeah.
like, it's just like those are the picks that can really, make or
Yeah.
break you.
Will they have the first draft pick?
Well,
Or
as
is
of
it?
right now, yes, but like if the
Oh
Cannons
man.
lose out, if the Redwood, like
If you
that's
are,
not
if you
decided.
are, if you're the Archers, are you? I mean, if you're the coach, you just, hey guys, let's just tank it. Let's just tank it this season. Play guys on the roster that haven't played this year to maybe just like self sabotage the
If the
season to get a first
Redwoods
round draft pick.
win, if the Redwoods win this weekend, then yeah, you're out basically. You would need them
Yeah,
to lose, and you would need to win by like 8 goals. I'll
yeah.
tell you what you
I
do,
think
pal.
you.
You don't tank it. I already told a story on this podcast about how you handle this. You fly into Boston. You say, "Listen, boys, it's been a long, tough season. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. We're going to Top Golf, open bar. Your coach Bates put the tab down. Let the
The Huntley
boys
method.
let the boys go." And then you don't got to worry about telling them not to play hard. Then you get to the game, and just let what's gonna happen at that point.
Or you take the youth lacrosse strategy. Maybe everybody switches positions. Maybe the long sticks go play attack, the attack play long stick.
They probably score more if they put Woodward and Hasek out up there on offense the entire time. To be honest with you, the way it's looking so far. So, yeah. So I found that to be kind of the most compelling game, just because it was like, I don't know, it felt like a little bit of a passing the torch, like the team that looked like maybe the Outlaws or the kind of, I don't want to disrespect the Atlas, but like the eye test says the Outlaws are the best team, in the league, and the Archers put up this crazy stand in a night game in front of their home crowd. Like that to me was like the most interesting watch. What game do you want to jump to next? I mean, what stood out? And maybe we just go ahead and talk about the Outlaws and their performance since we started there.
Yeah, I think since we started with the Archers, man, let's just end it with the Archers Outlaws here, and then we'll jump into the other games. Since it was a Salt Lake City weekend, Scott.
Is Brendan O'Neill the best player in the, like, when he does things that nobody's ever done before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, watching this game live, like he, the confidence he's playing with, like it's fun to watch, right? Every time he touched the ball, the crowd, I don't know, they just booed him the entire time. And I think they interviewed him after the game, and he was like, "Man, that's like, I've been getting that since high school. Like, it means nothing." And he puts up 6 points, and yeah, dude, some of the goals he scored is just like, I think, MVP conversation for sure. He's just such a presence on the field via athletically and his side. He is unguardable, and I think he's starting to realize how unguardable he is. And what helps him is the other guys around him are producing too. So like Pat Cavanaugh has 6 points. So the defense is like, okay, we got to shut down Pat Cavanaugh. Okay, O'Neal scoring, we got to shut down. Like there's just too many guys on the field that are producing for them. And man, the Outlaws of old. Like when I'm watching those Outlaws jerseys, I'm just thinking of like, those Outlaw teams back in the MLL days.
PTSD. It's like fucking again.
Yeah.
The Outlaws are just gonna win all the time again. It's like it's something about that team, that uniform, that logo. It's just like it's just synonymous with winning. What stands out to me about their offense? They showed the stat at whatever, I think it was at halftime, where they had 100, and this goes. They said this. This is not a me saying it. They said this after their 0-2 start when they won 3 straight. They had like 150 touches, unique touches, so passes or whatever, and the Archers had 100. And
Yeah.
I just think the players that they have, like, can O'Neal break you down as a one-on-one Dodger? Yeah, but that's not his game. He's not a quarterback, right? Same thing with Cavanaugh. I mean, he's more of a quarterback. He's a feeder, but he's still just he operates in ball movement, and it's like somehow the ball ends in his stick when it's either time to finish or when it's like one pass away, or he gets a switch or he gets a matchup. And so it's the ball movement is I think what's really unlocked O'Neal. And I think the best comparison I have for that is Team USA. Like when you put this much talent around him and then that talent plays unselfishly, he is the biggest problem on the field. Because if you're not able to just like totally game plan for him and focus on him, then you can't really stop him, because all of a sudden he's, I mean, once or twice a game, it reminds me Josh Byrne was like this, where he's just going to score a ridiculous goal and you just have to be like, well, okay. Like he shoots it on the run too. And it's like, this is what it is. Nobody can stop this. But when the offense, like maybe sometimes at Duke, or like when it was like they're going to get Brennan the ball and he's going to try to sweep, like, okay, we're going to double or hard switch picks, or the guy guarding him can press out. But with this offense and Bernhardt and Cav and Dalton Young and these guys, like, you have to play Team D or they'll just cook you in other places. And now Brennan's like, he hits the 2, then the next one he catches it winds up face dodges and scores. That like he's getting the ball in the flow of the offense, and it makes it very hard to like be prepared from a game plan perspective to stop him. And then, dude, I mean, it's been like this since high school, but nobody has ever shot the ball the way he does. Like, it's just like, it's like Ryan Brown, but with more size and athleticism, where like his stick goes so far back and he can do, he can shoot from all the crazy angles. He's got like the indoor hands with insane range and power. Like you mentioned MVP. I mean, Sowers has kind of been the guy we've talked about. Eye test to me now since it's O'Neal. I mean, they look like the best team in the league, and as good as Cav has been, who's the most valuable player on that team, like I still think I think it's close. I think Cav has made a very good argument for it, but I think I'd be surprised if the season ended today if O'Neal didn't win that award.
Yeah, and like the MVP thing, man, like I think you need to be winning, and they've been winning.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've been winning, and like Sowers, like obviously still up in the conversation. Like they could still, win their last 2 games, and they got the Kansas this weekend. Obviously, we'll get into that, but like, yeah, man, for me, it's O'Neal is at the top of that chart for me right now, and then Pat Cavanaugh, and then obviously I think McNaney slumped a little bit in this game, had like a 45% save percentage, but man, going against the best defense in the league and the Archers, like the end of the game, I left in the fourth quarter. It was like a 2-goal game, and then O'Neal, like they're billing him, and he just like smacks the top corner. And then there's 3 goals. They get a 4-goal lead, and I'm like, I'm getting out of here. But you could just see the Archers like just deflate, and they're just playing with such confidence in the way they're cheering. I know we were very vocal on the Outlaws, like not having fun, not like cheering for each other. But man, they're scoring goals. Like Brendan O'Neal looking at the sky, screaming. They're fist bumping, jumping in the air. So it looks like they're having fun, and that might have been the recipe for success for them.
Cav like has been talking about how much the chemistry and how much they like each other, and like, yeah, it's. I mean, I could spin that into Rat was right. Like once they started having fun and they got along a little bit better, all of a sudden they're doing this. Like at the beginning of the season, you do it. And again, we said the beginning of the season they were 0-2. It was the very beginning of the season, but it didn't seem like they had meshed. And then like the Bernhard injection, a little bit of winning. Clearly, the guys getting to know each other a little better, and it's all been totally unlocked. They're appointment TV. Like if you told me you can only watch one team play or one game this weekend, and I know they play twice, I would pick an Outlaws game. Like that's the team I want to watch play because of the way they're playing and the enthusiasm, and then just the sheer talent is insane.
Yeah, and then they got to be they got to be number 1 in the league in transition goals. Pisano obviously had a 2-pointer, and then Tarafanko had a huge 2-pointer.
Yeah, he's very good too. So they're the favorites. We'll get to the Atlas, who they deserve credit too, like Workman, like Win. But I mean, the Outlaws look like the favorites right now, and they look like their path to get there also is probably a little less stressful. Although the Chaos are randomly now like becoming a problem as they tend to do. So let's just work backwards. The next game then, it was the earlier game Saturday, Water Dogs Chaos, and like again the Water Dogs, like just at times it's like this team could be so dominant, like Outlaws level offense dominance. We see it in flashes, but then they just have these dry spells, and you go into this game, man, and they can't get a save from a goalie, and you give up 15 goals to an offense that has just been, bad by all accounts all year long. And now, like you went from you win this game and you're in. You're not going to get the 1 seed most likely. The Atlas seem to be tracking to that, but like you can solidify yourself in, and you can probably give yourself an at bat at the 1 seed. I think they play the last game of the season, and you drop a game to a team that you probably, if you're in that locker room, don't think you should lose it to. And now it's like you're not safe from missing the playoffs. I mean, it still feels like a long shot. Like I think they'd have to lose in Denver, then they'd have to lose, but they play the Atlas the last game of the year. If they lose both those games, you could be out. Like so, it's to me hard to see with them. It's the goalie play. That's just. They're just not getting enough there from Ward and DeLuca, and the defense is not playing super consistently. But like, I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on with them. And then it's like the offense sometimes just kind of goes cold. And is it the coaching? Like they're just like, I don't know. There's something uninspiring about them, which sucks because there's times where they look like they're in that tier, like the top tier.
Yeah, and I think just watching the game and then watching them over the past 2-3 weeks, like something that sticks out to me that I think is really hurting them, and I'm really curious to see what they do this weekend. If they do not do it, Coach Tierney's in the hot seat,
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
that's
saying.
that is putting your number one draft pick at his natural position at attack because I get it. Like you're putting him up top, and he's getting a short stick at times, and it's but at the end of the day, man, like him running around the midfield, it looks like they're trying to get him the ball, and then the ball just stops moving a little bit, right? He's dodging, and then obviously he's looking to feed people. He's not a ball hog by no means, but like I think it just fucks up the flow of their offense. Like he's coming out of the box or getting the ball, they're trying to get him with a short stick. He took 10 shots or 8 shots and scored 1 goal. Like he's taking the most shots out of the team, but it's like where he would be really good at is at his natural position when their Hannah's dodging downhill and then like they throw it through X to him or Sauer's at X and he's working off the ball. But like the Jake Taylor kid, and I've said this last week, like, yes, he is a great inside ball player. He had 1 goal this game. Last week, I don't know what he had. I think it was
And by the way, he shot 1 for 4. And like
yeah.
25%
like,
if you're a midi is not a terrible day. You kind of aim for 30% as a shooter, 33% if you're a really good shooter. But if you're Jake Taylor, you want to be at 40. Like or 45. Yeah. Like Eric Law used to live in the 40 plus. Jake Taylor going 1 for 4 is a bad game, and it's like a nice little story. I totally agree with you, but like you're right. Like you look at Pat Cav. It's like I want to hammer this point home. Just because somebody's a good lacrosse player, lacrosse is not. Oh, he's gonna have short sticks. It's gonna be easy. Like that's not how the game works. It's a flow, ball movement. Like just because you have a short stick, teams could slot. Like it's not how the game works. Where it's like, well, this guy was a dominant attackman, you can just run him out of the box. I'm not saying it never works. Like it's worked pretty well for Bernhardt. But when you're clearly one of the 3 best attackmen on the team, play attack, and you've got a righty in Sauers, you got 2 lefties in McCarl and Curse. Like play him there. I mean, and I don't know if Jake Taylor probably hits the pine in that situation because they're very deep at midi. You could run Jake Taylor out of the box as a cutting inside midi or whatever, but like I just don't know. In this kind of little losing streak they're on, they're not getting enough. Like Jake Taylor is not doing anything that makes me say he's got to be in the lineup right now.
Yeah, and transition, right? They had 5 points from their transition, right? Dylan Hess had a goal, Jimmy Freehill had a 2-pointer, and I think Scarpello had 2 goals. Like you take those goals away. I know I'm saying this, but you take those goals away, like their offense isn't putting up that many points, and like you got to do something. And as a coaching staff, for me, the thing that sticks out to me the most is you're doing too much with CJ Kirst via running him out of the midfield, trying to get him touches on the ball. You got to get him off the field. Like also the other thing to it, like you got Kieran McCardle, you got CJ, or you got Kirst, and then you got Sauers. Also, from a riding standpoint, that kid rides his ass off in the college team. Like, how many times did we see him in a college game, lose the ball and then runs back and creates a turnover? Like, how many cross turnovers is he going to have in a game that's down in attack?
He's Holman-esque.
It's like
that.
Yeah. So my thing for them is Coach Tierney's in the hot seat if they don't put him at attack this weekend, because I'm done watching it. And I think they need to run Jake Taylor out of the box. And if he's not open to that, fucking put him on the bench.
Yeah, well, he doesn't get to say I'm not open to that. Like, if you're
Jake Taylor, I'm saying,
if you're Jake Taylor, you're just happy to be here. Like, you're not fucking going in there saying no, coach. I'm not like fuck that. You're like you're happy.
But he
to
could.
Be here.
But he could.
Yeah, he could. Sure. Yeah, Notre Dame, so you never know. But he,
Yeah,
I would doubt that he would do that.
And like another bright spot, in this game, like we talked about this in the, I was big on him, but the Ben Ware kid, man, he de-twigged somebody on the far sideline, ran the ball up the field, threw like a lob pass, and then they hit it too. That kid, he's playing at a high level. It's awesome to see because his stock did go down in the UVA season. But yeah, man, like they got to figure it out, and it's gonna be interesting to see what they do offensively this week.
And so then, just like quickly, DeLuca at halftime was at 56% with 9 saves. He had allowed 8 goals, but he was at 56% with 9 saves and 8 goals. They pull him. Ward goes 46% with 7 goals and 6 saves. So DeLuca outplays Ward a little bit. Neither of them are playing at an all-pro level. Maybe a little bit of a weird decision to pull them. But so look, I agree. Like I'm still putting them in tier 2 of like could win it, right? Like I don't like, to me, the Redwoods aren't going to win it. I would be absolutely shocked if this Chaos team won it. Like I would have them in tier 3, but I'm going to get to them in a second. I think you probably have to put the Cannons in tier 3. Like my heart fights with me there, but they just haven't, to me, shown enough. Like, so I'd say it's like you have Atlas and you have Outlaws. The Water Dogs might be my lone tier 2 team, and then you have this group of like Whip Snakes, Cannons, Chaos, that are probably in that tier, and then you've got the Redwoods and the Archers in the bottom tier. Not that anybody asked for my tiering system, but that's how I would grade out championship contenders. And one of these teams from tier 3 is going to move up to the Water Dogs tier. I don't know if it's going to be the Chaos. I don't know if it's going to be the Whip Snakes. I don't know if it's going to be the Cannons, but one of those 3 teams will ultimately end the season in tier 2. And there you will have your semifinals. It will be my tier 1 teams, Atlas Outlaws, against my tier 2 teams. I guess it might not happen that way to East Coast. Anyway, it's all just a math problem. So, but let's get to the Chaos, because we're hammering the Water Dogs, and rightfully so. But what the Chaos are doing is insane, and Owen Hiltz is the driving force behind it all. So Rookie Iker, 5 goals and an assist, shooting 41%. Like, that's a fucking wild game, including he has the game winner, runs out of the box. The Water Dogs defense just miscommunicates. There's actually Ben Randall. If you're a young defenseman out there, posture. Bend your fucking knees and get your head on a swivel. Like, his guy subs, and he stands up for just a second and relaxes and turns his head and notices Iker's already on his way, and he ends up being a half second late, just not being fucking ready to play, which there's no excuse in overtime to not be that way. So big mistake there. But Iker absolutely hammering the ball. Owen Hiltz goes 1-4. Like, where Owen Hiltz at Syracuse never went 1-4. Like, he was a goal scorer. Now all of a sudden he's fucking Jeff Teat, like, plus he's playing like he can dodge, he can feed, he can finish. He's got some pretty good range. He's playing.
Q's coaching staff. Q's coaching staff in the hot seat, baby.
And then the other one, man, I've been saying it. Kid's fast as fuck. That's Ross Scott. Ross Scott goes 3 goals, shooting 75%. 1 turnover, 3 goals on 4 shots for Ross Scott. And he's running out of the box. And if you watch him, man, he's back on defense playing hard. Like, I keep saying it, but I really like watching him play. Oregon kid, like, he's just so fast, but he plays the right way. He makes good decisions. He hustles.
Did he make the Hawaii team this weekend, Scott?
Of course. Yeah. Not to mention, I mean, we could get to Hawaii, and there's some guys that are scoring goals in these games that still can't guard certain people in Hawaii. Let's move on. This is inside talk here. Carolyn Beatties, who I'm hard on score. Like, it's just like they're just getting production, out of their offense, which was really struggling. But I'm going to keep going back. It's those 3 that are have emerged as their star players: Iker, Hiltz, and Scott. Right? Like, every time they've needed goals, it's been one of those 3 guys that have made the play to make it happen. And then it's like between Perkovic and Sherilyn Beatties, and who, like, they'll get random spot scoring from kind of other places. And that's enough when you have Ray and Rowlett and Newman and Blaze, on the other end, you're like, that's enough. So tons of credit to them. Blaze goes 14 saves, just shy of 60%. Like, not by his standards, it's like an average game, but it's Blaze. And by the way, it just felt like, as always with him, it was late. Now, he gave up the 2-2s late, but that's not on him. That's on the defense. They let up 2 straight. Connor Kelly, wide open step down. Free Hill, maybe, I think, was the other one. Wide open step down, and you see him screaming at his defense. But all the saves in the fourth quarter that he needed to have, he had, clean saves. So it's just like, you sub out Towers, you get rid of all the Canadians, and you realize that, like, the driving force behind the Chaos doing what the Chaos have always done is Blaze, and it's that defense. Like, because they're just doing it again. They kind of stink to start the season, and then they're hard to kill. They find wins when they need, and now here they are, like, right in the thick of the playoff discussion. I mean, they're probably the favorite to be in the semifinals, and that's where it's like, it's hard to imagine the Outlaws not winning the championship, but it's also, is it hard to imagine Blaze Reardon having 20 saves and stealing the semifinal game? We've seen him do it so many times in his career already. You kind of got to watch out for the chaos. They might be the other tier 2 team, like with how they're playing and how these rookies, rookies and young guy Ross Scott are playing on offense. Like it's insane.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with the betting against chaos. I don't care if they play the Baltimore Ravens this weekend in a game
Well,
of football.
that's an easy
I'm
bet.
probably gonna take them.
Is it a playoff game or is it a regular season game? Because if it's a
It's a
regular season
it's a
game,
playoff. Blaze Reardon at
they're like
quarterback.
opposites. In the regular season, the Ravens are likely going to win that game, but if the game matters, it's chaos are going to win every time, 10 times out of 10.
No, but man, I'm done betting against chaos. I don't care who they play this weekend. I'm putting the house on it. Like they're you can't bet against them anymore. Like the thing that makes them dangerous to me. I think Blaze Reardon said it in the interview. They're just battle tested. Every game they're in, it's just a goddamn grind. And like whether it's a 1-goal game or they're down there, a lot of games they've been down by a couple. Like the first half, they like put a bunch up on Blaze, and it's like, oh, like they're gonna run away with it. Second half comes, they don't score a goal. Blaze has 10 saves. So I can't bet against them anymore.
Right,
and
but
then
do you know
Blaze
who they're
Reardon,
playing in their first game?
It doesn't
The
matter. I don't
Outlaws.
care who they're playing.
The Outlaws in Denver, and it's the first game of the doubleheader.
And guess who I'm taking? I'm taking the chaos.
Money line or against the spread?
Money line. I'm taking money line against
wow, bold.
And I'm gonna tell you why. Like Blaze, right? He's obviously got to be in the MVP conversation as well. Like he just keeps his team in games, the saves he makes. Like we've been talking about it. We know his game. He's an all-time great, future Hall of Famer. But like, yeah, man, this chaos team is battle tested. It's going to bode well for them going down the stretch and especially into the playoffs. Like they know how to win these 1-goal games against these really good teams that we're calling the best teams in the league. Like their defense is one of the best in the league via the numbers, and they got the best goaltender between the pipes. So, and I was talking to someone over the weekend, and then like I think a goalie needs to be at like 55, maybe probably I think 60% to even win a game in this league. I don't know the numbers on that.
He was at 57 in this one, but they gave up 15 goals. I mean, it was like by his standards, it was not a great performance. And the 2-pointer comes into play. But no, you're right. I mean, consistently, if your goalie is not above 55, like 55 to 60 is we better have a good offense tier. And then 60 and up is like, okay, you're probably, if your offense is good, you're a contender if your goalie is above 60%.
Yeah, and Owen Hiltz, Rookie of the Year, I'm putting him at the top of the chart now, just because, like, obviously he's played in 3 less games, and he has 20, was he 17? He's got to have close to 30 points now. It's crazy what he's doing on the field, and yeah, man, the chaos I've been betting against them quite a bit, but I'm done doing that. And sorry about it. So I'm on the chaos train.
So there's only one more game, and I want to look ahead because it is a spicy weekend of matchups. Like maybe dare I say this is the best matchup weekend of the season, and it's also in Denver. Weekend. It's going to be a sick crowd. Like their team is a first place team. But we should just mention, so like the Atlas Whipsnakes game, it was just kind of, and I'd said to you before the show started, I'm like, we don't need to talk about Atlas Whipsnakes because it was just kind of a workman-like Atlas win. There wasn't really anything like super exciting about it. They were just kind of the better team, and they just kind of wore them down, and the offense just, did its thing, and it's like 11-8. It's not even like a very exciting score. Like it was just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'm watching 2 teams play, and it was at Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, so that's probably part of it too. But watching it just felt like this is just a team that's better beating a team that's not as good. Like in kind of an average game where neither team's playing great, neither team's playing bad. The Atlas just have too much. I mean, their attack is seemingly very gelled. Like Schellenberger's playing at an elite level, Entenmann's playing at an elite level. They're I think, again, if you look at the records, they're the other team. They didn't pop the way the Outlaws popped this weekend, but it's like the sign of a good team where you can kind of just show up and win, even if like, even if you didn't, there's no crazy storyline or stat line or something like that to talk about from this game, at least from my perspective, but the better team won. They just kind of wore them down, and, Jeff Pete had 5 points, and Entenmann was at 71% in this game. Like,
yeah,
good luck beating them if he's saving 71% of the shots.
Yeah, and obviously Doc's Aiken's first game back. He didn't do anything, but he's going to be a player that I think when they get to the playoffs, he's going to continue to get better and better. He's just athletic downhill dodger. They've kind of obviously missed some of that. I know Costabile does some of that too, but dude, the Doc's Aiken kid, I think when they get to playoffs, and he's going to be a huge asset for them. But Teat, Dix, and Schellenberger again, what's it? Over 15 points or somewhere in that department.
Yeah.
You got to keep that unit in check, and they continue to produce, and it's given teams a lot of issues, but hats off to the Whip Snakes. They did hold this team to 11 goals. I think if you do hold the Atlas to 11, you do have
you should have a chance. And that's where it's that's the playbook is you got to hold them to 11 or 12, and then you got to hope Intamin isn't saving 70%. You got to hope Intamin's at 60%, and then you win that game. The Whip Snakes just season they just I was ready to be Whip Snake rat. I was all in, right? And they just it's they're going in the wrong direction. I mean, it's concerning when you look at the stat line. So in this game, Matt Brandow has 4. Brandow's been good, by the way. Brandow's been a win adding to that team. Aiden Carroll has 3. He's a young guy, shoots 12 shots. I love to see that. 3 goals on 12 shots. I'm fine with that. You're shooting 25%. But then Patrick gets a couple heat-cock. TJ Malone has 1. Rambo scores 1. You're getting nothing from Brad Smith. You get nothing from Levi Anderson. When this team, when I was ready to be Whip Snake Rat, the scoreline I was predicting was Malone's going for 5 points, and then you're getting 1 to 2 goals from Brandow, Carroll, Patra, Anderson. My whole and Smith. My whole kind of point of view on my belief in them was they've got a superstar in TJ Malone, and then they've got an entire offensive guys that can win their matchup and get you a bucket. And it was it becomes hard to guard them because whoever has the best matchup in terms of the D-midi is breaking you down. That was the whole system. And they're not random guys each week are showing up and putting up points, but they're not getting these games where they have 7 guys with 2 points. That's kind of their model of getting to that 15 or 6 guys with 2 points and Malone with 3 or 4. And so I just don't, it's hard to imagine them to me right now, flipping a switch and turning it on. Now you have Nardella and your defense is playing really well, but Emmett Carroll was at 50%. I don't so they're a little bit uninspiring. As I'm talking about these teams, my tiering system, I think the Chaos right now are sticking their nose in front as being that other tier 2 team. If you're realistically, if you're predicting the semifinals today, you're predicting the Atlas, the Water Dogs, right? And you're predicting the Outlaws and the Chaos. That's
Scott. If I'd have told you at the beginning of the year that the Boston Cannons and the Utah Archers were going to be at the bottom of the standings, and the overall standings as of today, you would have not.
The Archers would have shocked me. The Cannons would have been surprising, but less when you look at the Eastern Conference. If you had told me that the Water Dogs and the Atlas are going to be better than the Cannons, I wouldn't have been shocked. Two, so the Archers are the more surprising one there. But the Whip Snakes. So it's going to be really fun to watch this battle for last place between the Whip Snakes and the Cannons, because I think they play. So the Cannons have to win this weekend against the Water Dogs. This is what is so fun about this league.
Before we jump into that real quick, let me just do one more point on the Whip Snakes. You hit all on these great points, but the inconsistency in their lineup, right? There's been a lot of guys in and out. The Rambo, the Pinnell thing. This weekend is going to be another, because again, they're not out of it. And I think this team, what we have seen in the past, they fight their asses off. They do what they had to do to get to the playoffs, and then they kind of make it work. And they've been a team that's been in the playoffs every year. So I'm not counting them out. But I'm going to be really interested to see what they do this weekend. Obviously, I think Rob Pinnell did fly into this game. He was there with the team. Is he playing this weekend? Is Rambo not playing? Are they both playing? Is Rambo coming out of the box? Because I think if they get into that game again this weekend, that's just not going to work. I think from an offensive standpoint. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Staggs does with the offense this weekend. But again, they're just not getting a lot of production out of the guys they need production out of. And
I was hard on Rob, but Rob misses his wedding and they lay 2 eggs. It's just it's a tough time of the year. And again, you can not blame Rob. We talked about this. The storyline can be, hey, Rob's earned it. But if Rob's earned it, I don't know that you play him the leading up. Like it's just like, hey, we're not going to have you in this key point. We got to get right with Rambo in the lineup or who
Yeah,
like
he's
so,
playing. There's no way he's not playing this weekend. I think you're
No,
going to see
for sure. I think it'll be
Yeah.
going back to like it's going to be Rob, Malone and Brandow, or Rob, Malone and Carroll like at attack like that, because that's the unit that's where they've played the best is when it's that group, and then it's either Brandow or Carroll as the third attacker and the other one's running midfield, and it's Levi. Like I think Rambo will be back out, but Levi laid an egg, so maybe you put Rambo in for Levi. Like these are the decisions that he's gonna have to make. None of them really, to me, are super inspiring to say like this team's ready to go on a run. And by the way, they're all no, they play the Redwoods, so that could be a decent get right game for them. So let's look ahead now, because again, I like just juicy matchups all over the place. So, Friday night, 8 p.m. So that's going to be 6 p.m. Mountain Time where they're playing. A little early, maybe to have like an elite crowd, but Outlaws Chaos, like the Outlaws, again, just like that team, that crowd with the Archers, like I expect Outlaws fans to be awesome for this. You have the first place team, you have your beloved Denver Outlaws back. Like I expect Outlaw Nation to show up and really have a great environment. And you've got the first place team, and it's like it would be so easy. It would be so easy to just kind of pick them, but then you have this like Blaze factor, chaos kind of streaking, like probable semifinal preview. You already said you're picking the chaos. I
just want things to get interesting, Scott.
No. Stand on your fucking take. I am a PhD at how to lose to Blaze Raven. And what I know about losing to Blaze Raven, he took me out of the playoffs 3 of the 4 years I was in the PLL, if I'm not mistaken. In the bubble, 2022 was the last year, 2021, I think. I don't remember who we lost to in 2020. It might have been 4 years. Like they took us out every fucking year, but every year we beat them at the end of the regular season.
When you see the color red and black, you get PTSD.
The chaos thing is they'll lose this one, and then they'll beat them in the semifinals. That's the way that they function. So I like the Outlaws in this game. The chaos will just be frisky enough. They'll show them, hey, you're not gonna bully us. But like you're gonna have this one. It's a cute story, home crowd. Go get all high on yourselves. Get to 7-2. We'll see in a couple weeks. That's how the Chaos do it. I can literally in my last season in 2022, I can see it perfectly. Second to last week of the season, just like this. We're in Utah. We beat Blaze into Chaos. Second to last game of the season. Fast forward to DC semifinals. We're down like 8-3 halfway through the third quarter. We have 3 goals. Like it was just like life comes at you fast moment. Like we're like arguing in the locker room, like because nobody can score on Blaze. And it's like when that starts happening, the entire offense starts to choke up. Like the whole defense starts to choke up because you feel like if these guys score 1 fucking goal, we're gonna lose. And like what normally somebody on their offense will score some crazy goal. And normally it's like, oh, whatever, write that off. That becomes like a really stressful environment for the defense because you can't beat Blaze on the other end. So watch for that. That's my bold prediction, Kyle, is Outlaws today, Chaos in the semifinals. That would be the model for how they typically like to do it. So I'm going Outlaws in that game, but I think that's a compelling one. And then I'd love to hear you talk about this one because you know about this rivalry well. Water Dogs Cannons. And all of a sudden, in the standings, Kyle, just to set the stage, if the Cannons win this game, there's 3 teams vying for 2 spots in the last weekend with the Whipsnakes, the Cannons, and the Water Dogs. If the Water Dogs win this game, they're in. And now it becomes a Cannons Whipsnakes battle. So this is a huge game for both teams because for the Water Dogs, you're playing for the playoffs or you're putting yourselves in a very stressful final weekend. And for the Cannons, you have to win. I don't know if you mathematically do, but you do. You've lost 3 straight. Like, talk to me about this rivalry and why these teams don't like each other.
Yeah, I think the rivalry is going to stem from the Champ Series, right? We all know what happened there. The hit that was heard around the world. I think that rivalry kind of started making waves there, and then now these 2 teams hate each other, right? It's going to be a chippy
the hit
game.
Heard around the world. So just in case some people don't watch the Champ Series,
I'll
hard to believe. Yeah, Josh Stout like crushes Sowers. I think in the same game he also like crushed McCardle. I think there was like a little fight in the training camp practice
Yeah.
between Bubba and Kieran McCardle. Like, so that was where it started. And like some people did that lead to Copeland quitting? I don't know. That was, it was
Could have.
yeah, it
But
was an
yeah,
interesting thing.
these teams, Eastern Conference rivals, right? They know what's at stake here this weekend. Like the Water Dogs could essentially knock the Cannons out, and the Cannons' backs are against the wall, right? It's a must win. No other way to put it, obviously. And then they got their doubleheader weekend they're staring at. So it would take a little bit of pressure off of them going into the doubleheader weekend, depending on how things shake out. But yeah, this weekend, like the Cannons, it's show me time, right? It's show me time that we've been talking about them. They have the personnel on defense, like they have the guys, but like again,
I don't know if
show,
they do.
show me, like show me. And then this game, if they do not short stick Jake Taylor at attack and they run the 3 poles down and whatever's going on up top, we already talked about the Water Dogs on that, but you got to short stick Jake Taylor. You cannot waste a pole on him and burn a pole on him and bump a pole up top. But yeah, this game is going to be, I think it's going to be a fiery one. The Cannons know they had a week off. They've been probably watching film, getting ready for this one, but like they're staring down a elimination this weekend, and I think that's going to bring. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna like the Cannons and the Water Dogs personalities, I think, are just very different. The team personalities. I think the Cannons have been, a lot of it's like Marcus Holman driven, but like they're exuberant, they're energetic, they play fucking hard. They, Brian as well. I think there's this like culture of like toughness and scrappiness, and we'll get in your face, and like maybe we're a little loud. The Water Dogs have more of this like, Kieran and Sowers kind of vibe. It's like more of the subdued like style in terms of how they kind of interact with the media and how they kind of are on the field. And I just think this is one of the great rivalries, if not the best rivalry in the PLL right now, because those two things just clash and it gets chippy every time these teams play. Like, I don't know the relationships off the field, but it doesn't seem like they like each other. You've had situations where it's Kieran and Brian Holman screaming at each other in the box and getting chippy. Like, I think like they probably won't say it because when you're in it, you stick a camera in front of or mic in front of these guys, and it's all we respect them. But like, I think the truth is like, I don't think the Water Dogs like the way the Cannons handle their business. I don't think the Cannons like the way the Water Dogs go about things and like the way those guys act. And both teams have dudes, both teams are talented, and it's created a lot of really great games. Like, I think the Cannons had won like 3 or 4 straight tight games until earlier this season. The Water Dogs get them back. They beat them when the Cannons had a chance, I think, to go to like 3-0 or 4-0 or something like that. So that's something to watch for me. Like night game, Denver, big game. Like, I think this is going to be a very, very chippy game. And then in terms of the tactics of it, Hartsey, like if I'm Brian Holman, I'm changing something on defense. I think that I talked about age with the Archers offense. I see the same thing with the Cannons defense. You have a younger guy in Keelty. He's coming off an Achilles tear, and he's been the best to me of their 3 starting close defensemen. Bryce Young and Epple, we've talked about it. Like, they're not playing with a lot of confidence. Like, Epple getting dodged and scored on by Xander Dixon as an inside guy. Like, it's just concerning. And then tough, he has to guard O'Neal, and O'Neal shells him. And it's like, yeah, does that mean Epple's lost a step? You kind of made the point, like O'Neal's kind of doing that. He just did it to Hassing too. But for Epple's confidence, that doesn't help, right? So I think you really got to be thoughtful about matchups. But I would make the argument that 2 of your 3 best polls, like long polls on the team, are Owen Grant and Ethan Rawl. And I thought the big miss was not putting Owen Grant on O'Neal. He guarded him some in college. He's younger. Even this, Kyle, when you're playing in the league, and we've seen this rise in these young players now, the first, second, third year guys are really the star players on a lot of these teams. I want guys who played them in college covering them. Like, there's a certain belief system when it's like, oh, I've seen this guy before. Maybe I've had success against him. I know him. Like, I think there's something in the mentally when you're kind of playing against the guys you came up with that creates this like sense of belief. I think it's harder for a Garrett Epple to cover a Brendan O'Neal. Like, this is this generational talent. Like, I've never really seen it in person or played against him. I think maybe they were teammates on Team USA. If Epple wasn't on that last team, but like that. So I just like, I'd rather have a guy who was at Delaware, was 1 year older, because there's just like this, I know how to play him, I believe I can play him mentality that comes with that. So I thought that was a miss. Like depending on matchups, like I don't, do you put Raw down on Sowers? To me, that might be doing a little too much. He's like a true LSM, but they've had a problem with who moves their feet well enough. I think you still go Keelty on that matchup. I think that's your best bet. But we've seen them not communicate pick play well, not really have a ton of cohesion on defense, and then also not like get great matchup winning play from their close defensemen all year long. So that's the one for me to watch. I don't really have a lot of concerns with the Cannons offense. Like they put up 16 last week. They've made these moves. I think you're going to see McAsee and Manny in the lineup together for the first time. I like that. Campbell's been good. Drenner's been good. Marcus is getting there. Asher's, like, by all accounts, having a really bad season, and he still has a shit ton of assists. Like, I worry about them on that side of the ball less. It's like, can their defense stop the Water Dogs with the personnel they currently have? I don't. And the scheme that they've shown and their ability to game plan this year has not been good. So that's the concerning part.
Yeah, what you've hit on that, but like, what I've seen on film stick out the most is like the inconsistency on defense, half slides, not sliding. The pick play has been pretty brutal the entire time. So they need to clean all that shit up, and they need to pack it in as a defense, right? They're not, I think you touched on it, like the age thing, and like they're not a defense that can like have all three of their poles on the ball and then you can just look away up top. Like you got to sink it in as a defense. You got to slide recover. I think if they slide recover, they're sideways off the ball, they're sliding to guys they have to. Force Sowers high. Do not slide to him above the arc when he's going that way. I think they'll have success. I'm not counting them out. I'm taking the Cannons in this game in a 1-goal game battle in Denver.
So. All right, so I'm going to pick the Water Dogs. It hurts. It hurts. Look, I'm going to be transparent with you, the listeners out there. I love the Cannons. Those are my guys. Like my closest friends are on that team. Very close to Coach Holman. But like I got to call it like I see it. I just, if the Water Dogs had won last weekend, I think I could see them. Like I could see this being a Cannons game. I just think that the Water Dogs offense is going to overwhelm the Cannons defense more than the Cannons offense is going to overwhelm the Water Dogs defense. Like that's ultimately where I land on this. If Kirst kind of comes back into form, like I could easily talk you through a path where the Cannons win. It wouldn't shock me at all. If I have to make a pick, I agree, close game. Maybe I'd go 2 or 3 goal game and the Water Dogs win. But look, I'd be, that one's a pick 'em to some extent. Like, I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm the first one to ultimately say a lot of times the team that needs to win more does. And the team that needs to win more in this game is the Cannons. Like, even though the Water Dogs you don't want to lose multiple in a row late in the season, the Water Dogs can lose this game and can still kind of control their own destiny going into the last week. The Cannons cannot. If they lose this game, their destiny is out of their own hands. So maybe that's the X factor, and maybe I'll come on here next week and I'm an idiot that I love the way their offense has looked with Manny in there, but I think Stathakis is going to control the X, and that Water Dogs offense is going to get the ball a lot. And I just haven't seen anything from the Cannons defense this year that makes me feel confident that they're going to be able to get stops against this group, especially if I think Kirst is going to be down there. And now, like, the matchup thing becomes such a problem. Like, if Kirst is down there, I don't know who the fuck you put short poles on their offense. Like, it ends up being Connor Kelly and Courier. Like, it's just like it's a tough group to figure out who to short pole when. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you got to put poles on their 2-point threats up top. I mean, if you take that away from them,
I think the method that they're going to go with is I think they're going to double Sowers a lot when he runs off picks. Like, I think they're going to try to take the ball out of his stick, and then I think they're going to like hug McCardle. I mean, remember the last time they played, the first dodge, Epple like hedges off of McCardle on a Sowers dodge, and it's Sowers to McCardle for the first goal, and it's kind of like, fuck, like that's, you want to talk about how to get the Water Dogs in a rhythm offensively, let the first goal be a Sowers to McCardle feed. So I think that they'll clean that up. Like, I think Epple will be glued to McCardle, and I do think like Epple can win that matchup as long as he just fucking stays at home off ball, right, all day. Like, McCardle's not going to run by him as a Dodger. So I think they'll say Sowers scores 6 goals, and let's let Sowers and Kirst have a little showdown here. Sowers, dodge us 1-on-1 and score consistently on Kirst. I think that's how you have to play them. My other problem with them, Hearts, is like they're giving up 2-pointers at the worst fucking time all season. First shot of the game against the Outlaws, the last time we saw them play, is a Pacino open step down, and you've got Drenner in transition covering a D midi, cutting the crease instead of covering the pole. So like again,
no twos.
I have to like I'm wanting to talk myself out of it and pick them, but I just have to stick with what I see. Like their defense has to show me that they can that they can improve and make the adjustments that like they're right there in front of you to make. And you have an offense that's good enough to go on a run. You've got to make the adjustments defensively.
Yeah, statistically, they're the worst defense in the league, right? And they need to, the Water Dogs playoff game for them, right? If they win, they're in, and Cannon's the same thing. So it's going to be a good environment. It's going to be a great game. I think it's a high-scoring game, won by a goal.
Cool. All right. So then then we get Atlas Outlaws.
6-2 teams, both 6-2 teams.
Yeah, that's an ABC game, midday Saturday. It's going to be hot, probably in Denver in the middle of the day. Is it? So it's 1 p.m. Eastern. So that game's at 11 a.m.
11.
Ooh, dude, that's going to be saucy. The Outlaws are going to play at 8 p.m. Friday night, and then they're going to play at 11 a.m. Saturday. And you're going to put that one on ESPN. Like they're going to lose. The Outlaws are going to lose.
I was waiting for you. I was waiting to talk about this, but I was going to touch on that because I was talking to Train and he said that. He's like, "Oh yeah, our game's at 11." I'm like, "Wait a minute, you guys are playing it? You guys are playing them? The game's at 11? Like what?"
So back in our day, that was the greatest thing in the world because that means you're done at 1:00 and it's Sunday fun day time, baby. You're in Denver. You're hitting rooftop somewhere. You're like
Lizards, Blase, and Hempstead. That game was at like 9 a.m. Do you remember that?
Oh, of course. Blaze win, by the way. But and I had a great day over at shout out to Val Gittleman hosting the boys after that win. Some couple bottles of rosé, some cold cheese pizza. We had a Tommy Afuero, Long Island legend. We had a great day after that win. But if you know how Dave Huntley would handle this game if he were the Outlaws coach, we're gonna go out there. We're gonna kick the shit out of the Chaos on Friday night. We're not going to give two shits about this game against the Outlaws and then we're going to have fun with the boys after the game because we're going to be 7-3 and we're going to be the 1 seed and this game doesn't fucking matter and we just played 10 hours ago.
Like, I think Coach Sudan has that. I think Coach Sudan has that in him.
I do too. He's got Hunt's vibes for sure. So that's like it'll be interesting to watch, but like I'm just going to say it now. No overreacting to that game in terms of championship preview because the back half of the doubleheaders are hard enough, and you're not even going to give these guys a chance to sleep in after they play an 8 p.m. game the night before. Like that's actually fucking ridiculous. Like I'm sure it has to do with
ABC too.
I'm sure it has to do with stadium scheduling, but like that's a 100%. Ridiculous situation. Luckily for the Outlaws, they're 6-2, but. This goes back to me picking the Outlaws. Like the Friday night game becomes more important for them. Like they don't want to go 0-2 at home. Like the Friday night game is, and if they lose that Friday night game, it's a little bit of a bummer. It's a bummer of a situation for them. I don't know. The Outlaws, like again, I'm going to pick the Atlas just because of the circumstances. You're also at altitude, by the way. Like to add on to that in Denver, like the toughest place to have to play a doubleheader like that would be Denver or Salt Lake or whatever. So I like the Atlas to win that game. Wouldn't shock me if they didn't, but I think that they'll find a way to pull it out. But I just don't think it means anything. Like we'll see that hopefully, we'll see those two teams battle it out in the championship as they look like they've been the best. And then your last game is Whipsnakes Redwoods. Like who doesn't want to, both teams both teams need the win. If you're the Redwoods, you can mess around with giving the Archers a chance. You don't want to give the 2-time defending champs any life going into that last weekend. You've got to. If you're the Redwoods, you've got to win one of your next two. And they play the Cannons on Friday next week in Boston in a game the Cannons are going to have to win. So, like, if you lose this game and you're the Redwoods, you're all of a sudden saying, "Oh fuck, we could lose 2 in a row," and then the Archers are 1 win away from getting in the playoffs, and the Archers play the Chaos, which is a winnable game. So I expect to see the Redwoods and Coach Kelly, like who was a great outlaw for all those years, put up play with a ton of heart. I don't know, man. This is a little bit of a pick 'em to me too. Like it's two teams that really need a win. Neither have been like inspiringly good. I think I'm going to pick the Redwoods to win this game.
Yeah, like the scheduling thing, I was going to touch on that. Yeah, they're. I think as a must win, they need to win that first one. They drop that first one. Like, obviously, I'm taking the Chaos, but like the Chaos defense historically is they beat the shit out of you, right? Rowlett's going to be fucking hitting people late and trying to get in people's heads. Like, yeah, that's going to be a must win for them. If they lose that game, this second one's going to be hard to win because Atlas want to emerge as the number 1 seed, and they don't want to lose a game. They don't want to drop a game. So like their stats, the 2025 stats, they line up pretty much even down each column, face-offs all the way down. Like it's going to be a battle, especially for the Outlaws playing an 8 p.m. game and then playing an early game. I'm going to go with the Atlas in this one.
What about the Whipsnakes Redwoods? So you jumped back in time. I was talking about the.
Yeah, well, you passed through that. I didn't get to talk about that.
I ripped. Fair enough. Fair enough.
In this, the Whipsnakes game, obviously, the Whips need to win. If they lose, that's good for the Cans. If they win, I'm going to take the California Redwoods in this game.
Yeah. So we both. So is this going to be the first year that the Whips don't make the playoffs? The first year in their PLL tenure. There's probably a lot of teams that have never missed the playoffs, though, because for a while there, only one team didn't get in. But is that ultimately what you think happens?
I think that's what happens.
They just haven't had the continuity. And like the one thing you can say about the Redwoods is they have. Like he's made some adjustments here and there, but it's been the same crew. And like I thought last week's win was really impressive. Like to come out against the Archers and find a way to win that game. Like so yeah. All right. So we're opposite on Carolina, Denver. You've got Carolina, I've got Denver. You've got Boston, I've got Philly. I don't give a fuck. I'll take the Atlas. We don't really – that game is a pick, whatever. And then we both are on the Redwoods.
Yep.
All right. Well, dude, great. This is it. These are the most fun episodes because Boston is going to be juicy. Like I can't wait to just see how this weekend's games go and then, we'll have it all right in front of us in terms of Boston, like what needs to happen. And I really hope we get some – I hope we get I hope we get Cannons, Whipsnakes playing for a playoff spot in Boston, right? Like that would be awesome. I hope we get Chaos Archers playing in a situation where the Archers win and they're like, I'm cheering for as much drama as possible.
It could get spicy depending on how things shake out. That Boston weekend could shape up to be maybe one of the greatest weekends of professional lacrosse, depending on what happens in these games. So.
But we got no Outlaws that weekend. So, all right, cool. Well, good episode, Heartsy. See you guys next week.
Peace.